Look at me. Look at me. I'm that guy in his truck doing a selfie video. Except, in fairness, it's not a truck, it's a minivan. As I like to say, it's a chick magnet, which is technically true. I have daughters, and they love the van, so it's a magnet for my daughters. I was thinking about, the reason I wanted to do this is that as the Chief Operating Officer, I'm responsible for the operating agreement with Terra Global, and baked into the operating agreement is a set of values which distinguish us from other organizations. And I think that's important because values become sort of an oil and water thing. If you rally around values, they are transcendent of the value of money. And so as the organization invests in values, they create that sort of oil and water thing. And then once that's there, you don't have to work as hard on getting rid of people who aren't a fit. They'll do a good job of doing that on their own. So each week we talk about a value. We open up the meeting, we talk about the value, we spend the week thinking about it, and then new values sort of come up and we update our agreement, etc. So this week was basically cultivating talent from within. And the statement is, if a tree fails to sufficiently bloom, you move it to better soil, which is the right thing to do. I'm pretty sure this phone's going to drop right out of the thing, so I'm going to do this because that's what I do. And what I said was this. So our CEO is Patrick. Patrick is like probably the best guy I've worked with, man. I don't know if like maybe ever. He's like really, like one of Patrick's really unique qualities is every time somebody says no, it invites him to ask better questions, which I think is great because he thinks it's not that he's trying to persuade or strong arm people. He just needs to understand how he isn't understanding them. And it just makes him an exemplary leader for what it's worth. But anyway, I said this. I said, listen, guys, I got this thing that just came to mind, which is true. It just came to mind. And it was, I'm a good cook, which is true. I'm a pretty good cook. I can do poached salmon with a pomegranate molasses with basmati rice and a touch of saffron, and flash cooked carrots with a little bit of honey and ginger. And so I'm a good cook, but I love doing dishes. I prefer doing dishes, and it's because I believe it's a loving act of service to do dishes so other people can have conversations that are ordinarily interrupted. I believe that that's a loving thing. So I actually prefer doing dishes. Patrick, for his part, is a great cook. He's a great cook, and he does dishes because he's good at it. And I use that example to illustrate what I think might be the problem. And it's not the problem, actually, because Patrick is great at what he does, but he's not being tapped into properly. He's a creative person. And so the challenge to the rest of the board is, how do we help Patrick be who he is, which is a highly creative person. So Patrick, like, it's almost like he took that to the heart, and he said, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but I studied the trumpet, and in a different world, I would be a professional trumpet player. But what Patrick did is that he gifted that part of himself that is good at doing dishes. And in this case, it's acquiring capital. It's getting money to make sure that other musicians are paid. He gave away a part of himself so others could succeed. And in so doing, he erased himself from the story, which to me is an amazing gift of stewardship. And that's his contribution to the domain of music. He's a great cook, but he does dishes because he's good at it. So that's the part. And I said, guys, we've got to figure out how to tap into Patrick's creativity, because in the time we've been together, he delivers like breathtaking creativity, but he's in the trenches doing dishes, right? So anyway, like that day, he delivered a design for a real estate app. Like, we're not even in the tech business, we're in real estate. He delivered a design for an app. I sent it to my guys. Now look, I've been working with my team. The guy in India, I've worked with him for over 30 years. He and I set up software engineering for a publicly traded company called Tektronix. We did the same thing for Xerox. We used to work for an Indian-based company, and then he did the same for Honeywell. So we've done like large-scale global software engineering together. We've done it since '95. That's when we started working together. And Chinook, he came back and he said, who's Patrick working with? Where did these documents come from? I said, he's not working with anybody, man. I can tell you he's doing it himself. He said, I don't know, these are pretty high quality. I confirmed, and Patrick had come up with them himself. And this is an example of if you try to figure out how to line people up appropriately, and sometimes it's just a little shift. It's a little shift, and say, for instance, let's stop trying to hire talent outside if the talent we need is inside and is in the wrong role. And that doesn't mean we put the CEO, because that's what Patrick is. He's a CEO. It doesn't mean that we put the CEO in a design seat instead of being CEO. What it means is that we lean back and we say, how can Patrick be a great cook? And that might mean, how do I learn how to do more dishes, which is the right thing to do. I'm the chief operating officer. It's my job to help that guy be successful, right? So that's what's on my mind. It's Saturday, and I'm fixing to mow the lawn before it becomes too ghastly hot. But the thing that's on my mind is, how do we get people where they are? If someone's a great cook, how do I do the dishes so that person can soar? Like, how do I do that? And I don't have the answer to it, but I do think that we can sustain sort of a meditative state and think about how can we do a better job of helping the people around us be successful. And that's all I got to say. That's how a bill becomes a law.